I want my music to feel like worship.
Yeah.
Okay? When you go to church, even before the pastor gets up to talk, a preacher, whatever he does, what takes you to the place of reverence? What takes you to the place of being in communion with God? The music.
Okay, say either way that life sway. Let's make the right play. Tap in with Coach K, life coach with the right approach. Yeah, she gon' put some Jesus on it. Coach K, heavy on a woman of God. Life coach with the right approach. Yeah, she gon' put some Jesus on it. It's that level 27. Hey, don't stress, be blessed. 3 things to digest. Stay focused, trust God, and respect the process. It's that level 27, 27.
My guest of honor is originally from Fort Worth, Texas, but she currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. She's an independent R&B artist known for her soulful vocals, memorable melodies, nostalgic storytelling, and emotionally driven songwriting. She's a Clark Atlanta University graduate that draws from her life experiences, vulnerability, and authenticity to craft music that lingers long after the song ends. Blending classic R&B influences with a modern perspective, her sound is defined by heartfelt lyricism, dreamy production, and melodies that evoke both nostalgia and emotion. Through themes of love, self-discovery, healing, and personal growth, she creates music that resonates deeply with listeners while continuing to carve out her own lane in independent R&B. After her multi-year hiatus, she has successfully rebranded her career with a renewed creative vision. She has collaborated with notable producers including Tasha Couture and Young Lane. She has released original music across major streaming platforms, and she has built an engaged audience through social media and independent music marketing. She continues to grow her catalog and presence as an independent R&B artist. Now she's back to take her rightful place as your favorite. Today, my guest of honor is VJ Renee. How you doing?
Woo! I'm doing amazing.
Good.
I'm well.
Good.
I'm in good spirits. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. It's amazing to see you just continue to go on this path and, go after what you love to do. And that makes me extremely happy just to see you doing it and pursuing it.
I appreciate that for sure.
Well, I love the fact that you're from Fort Worth, Texas, because it's near and dear to my heart. So I love that you're from Fort Worth and you representing for us. But you've collected a lot of different tools from where you've been and where you've come from. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Yes. So as you stated, I'm originally from Fort Worth. I grew up on the southwest side of Fort Worth, so Highland Hills, but I also spent a lot of time on the south side of Fort Worth. Um, and I also spent time in Eastwood in Stop Six. I grew up and I went to elementary school at CC Moss Elementary, so that's in Eastwood. And then I went to Dunbar sixth grade. Of course, that's in Stop Six.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to William James on the south side. And then I ended up going to Trimble Tech. So I'm very acclimated with the city of Fort Worth. It is very dear and near to my heart, and it made me who I am today, for sure.
Yeah. Fort Worth does that to you. People feel like, if you're not from Dallas, that it's not, I guess they feel like you're not relevant if you're not from Dallas. But if you're really from Fort Worth, it's like, we don't got to be from Dallas. We don't want to be from
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm so glad that now people are really stepping into their purpose. And with everyone putting on, it's really putting a spotlight on the city. Because
Yeah.
before, like you said, it was all about Dallas. It was all about Houston. And we had a few artists here and there, but it's like now everybody's kind of doing their thing and everybody's figuring out about Fort Worth. It's not
Yeah.
DF Dub, it's Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah. A lot of cities in between Dallas and Fort Worth, y'all.
Yeah, and then like you said, it's a lot of talented people here, and we just don't really get the recognition that we deserve, but people will really be shocked.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's amazing that you've been to all those different schools and had to drop into different atmospheres like that because for one kid moving from one school to the next, it can be tough just to like connect with people and stuff like that. So whenever you went to those different schools, was it easy for you to like connect with people or, what helped you with that?
Okay, so I would say it was it was pretty easy, of course, elementary time, but middle school, no, that definitely wasn't easy because like I said, I went from Stop Six, Dunbar sixth grade to William James. Those are two different areas, two different types of people. Education system is a little different. And with me coming from Dunbar to William James, I experienced bullying. I experienced self-discovery, just me just coming into my own because I didn't have anyone to lean on or anyone to talk to while I went to William James or transfer into new school. So it was like I had to figure it out and just stand on my own. And most people, they have cousins or friends that they could, you know, um, that they could kind of lean on or go to when they're experiencing certain things. But no, I've always just kind of been me and tried to figure it out the best way I could.
Well, I think that's crazy because that's the precursor to what you had to do when you got older too. So it's like God already kind of prepared you a little bit for the departure and being able to try to do things on your own too. So very interesting. It's amazing how he does that. He sprinkles it in there for you.
And you know what? You are definitely right about that because if I had not gone through all of these different transitional periods, all of the points of self-discovery, like I said, experiencing bullying, just being new to a school, like you said, these are all of the stepping stones that built my character today. And so it's like now I can stand alone. I don't really have to have people to be in my corner, even though it's nice,
Yeah, it's nice.
camaraderie is nice. But like you said, these stepping stones built my character today. So I really do appreciate all of the things that I went through in order to get to where I am today.
Yeah. BJ was on the step team, y'all. So, one of my step team babies. But one thing I always remember is you being willing to walk to the beat of your own drum. Like it was very clear that you had that in you early. You like, I'll hang out and do what I need to do, but I'm still gonna do what I want to do too. So when it came down to you like getting ready to go to college and stuff, I already knew that you were gonna be one of the ones that was like, all right, I'm out. And if you weren't, I was gonna push you to go. I was like, get up out of here.
And you did. And you did. I don't even know if you remember the conversation that we had, and I always hold it dear to my heart. Because I remember, mm, and I wasn't even supposed to cry. I'm so emotional when I talk about sensitive stuff. But I remember, I think it was junior, senior year. I definitely was, of course, thinking about college and stuff like that. And I remember telling you, like, hey, Miss Trina, like, I want to go to college to be an orthodontist because, of course, I've had braces for a long time. And then I saw how easy it was for me to make money. I wasn't thinking about the passion. I was just thinking about the money aspect.
Mhm.
And then you told me, you said, don't worry about the money. You told me, don't worry about the money. Do what your heart desires. Follow your passion. Don't think about anything else. And you told me, you telling me that you want to go to these different schools to accomplish that. You was like, that doesn't even sound like you. Why are you listening to other people? Do what you think is best. I took that advice. Never looked back.
Wow. Wow.
I never looked back. And I'm so grateful that God places people in your life that are able to speak life into you at the moments you really need it the best or the most. Because our parents, of course, always wants the best for us, but they always think about, careers that will pay the most or that will put you in the best position financially, of course. But you've always planted that seed in me, and because of that, we're definitely having these conversations today. So I want to thank you.
Wow. First of all, wow. The fact that you remember that conversation is crazy to me. I'm glad that you were willing to receive it and that you actually used the information. God places people in your life for certain reasons and seasons, and He placed y'all in my life for a reason or season too. So it's like it's amazing how it comes full circle. And hearing stuff like that, it just makes me want to continue to do whatever it is that He tells me to do because it's not easy to do what we do, but I am very grateful and I appreciate you sharing that with me for real. Like that makes me you gonna make me cry, Lord Jesus. Like shit. Like for real, because the purpose and the reason why I told you this because I just know money is not that's not the that's not shouldn't be the driving force. You can make
Right.
money, but to wake up every day and do what you love is just like nothing better than that. Even if it's a
Exactly.
struggle, it's way better than being like, "Ah, I gotta go to this job." Like, "Gotta go to this job, like, what we doing today? I don't wanna do it." You know? It's just like, y'all getting on my nerves, like, it just be like that, but when you working in purpose on purpose, it makes work not work, you
Yeah.
know? So and I definitely feel like all of y'all have numerous gifts, all of y'all, to be able to do what y'all did at your age. I don't think y'all realize how many skill sets you had to have to do what y'all were doing. Coordination, time management, being able to work on a team. Y'all built all that stepping on a step team, and you already possessed it before I even got there. So that's why I was like, y'all got it. Y'all just gotta channel it the right direction and you'll be able to do whatever you want to do. So
I definitely do agree.
yeah, that's amazing. Well, I'm glad that we had the opportunity to have that connection at Tech, the best high school in Forward, Texas. Uh, just gonna put that out there,
Is,
Gonna put it.
is.
She got a Tech green on right now too. It just is what it is. You have to apply to get into our school. But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, I think that Tech definitely kind of prepared you for the culture shock of going to Atlanta, Georgia, of like
Yes.
you're yet again thrusted into an area where you're around a million different types of people with different perspectives. And I want you to tell me a little bit about being a student at Clark Atlanta.
That was definitely a life-changing experience for me as well. I don't regret any of it. And actually, outside of being an adult, that was like I feel like that was the best period of my life because I was also a young adult, learning the world, being around other students with the same mindset,
Mhm.
being around Black people, successful Black people that were my teachers,
Mhm.
counselors, accountants. I mean, it didn't matter, but that right there definitely changed my mindset of how I operate, how I move, how I think, what I believe, and everything. Clark Atlanta is definitely near and dear to my heart. And like I tell my nephew all the time, if I can go back and do it over, I really would. I really
Man,
would.
man. Clark Atlanta was definitely on my list. I tried to go to Clark Atlanta. I did. I just have no funds. I was like, "Ooh, I can't pay that." But it
I
would have
don't
been worth
blame
it
you.
though. It would have been worth it though, because at the end of the day, the money was gonna get spent either way it went. But I'm so glad you went to Clark Atlanta, especially knowing how artistic you are. I felt like you needed to be in a space where people are just as artistic as you so that you wouldn't feel not to say that you would feel like a fish out of water, but like
Mhm.
you need to be around people who have the same mindset as you somewhat or like that gets you when it comes to that and how passionate you are about being an artist, So Atlanta was the perfect landing space for you. Like perfect.
Yeah, I definitely do agree. And like I said, Clark Atlanta definitely changed my life and planted a pivotal seed in my life. And then, like you said, being in Atlanta, period, it just turned the swag up just even more because
Yeah.
it was already here, but it just turned it up and it just opened up my eyes to the possibilities of how you can make everything work. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you have, or any of those things. As long as you have consistency, God in your life, and a plan, you can make
Mhm.
it. You can
Yep.
make it.
You can make it. Well, tell me about your HBCU experience though, like just in general. Not necessarily just Clark Atlanta, but being in that space with all those different HBCUs and just like how that impacted you as well.
It it was I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of chaotic because Spelman is right next door. And then Morehouse is next door to that. So it's like right when you walk out the gate from Clark, I'm automatically on Spelman's campus. So it's like all of those kids right there. And then if I walk across the street, you have Morris Brown. Now at the
Mhm.
time I was going, they were open, so and they were just now getting back their accreditation. So it wasn't that many students. But like I said, it was very chaotic, but it was also fun at the same time because even though we're all right there, we're all three different schools.
Yeah.
Clark Atlanta is like the It's the school where everyone wants to come and feel like family and still get business done, but we're not really bougie like
Yeah.
that. We're
Yeah.
not bougie. Everybody likes to come and kick it over there. But when you go to Spelman, of course, they're still handling the academic duties and everything, but it's a little bit more reserved.
Mhm.
And so it's not really a lot of partying. The campus is closed majority of the times. Same thing with Morehouse. You can't really go over there and do the same things you can at Clark. And I feel like a lot of kids that went to Morehouse, Spelman, and Morris Brown, they stayed at Clark Atlanta all the time. They never wanted to go back to their campuses. They dated our girls. They dated our guys. They wanted to come to all of our events because we were the kids that were just around the way kids.
Yeah.
And
I
we knew
think
what
that's
we were
funny.
there for, but yeah, it was just a school. I want to go over to Clark.
'Cause we
That's
gonna have a
how it
good
was.
time. We're gonna have a good time while we get these grades. We're gonna have a good time.
That part.
Yeah. I always say
Yeah.
Spelman and Morehouse. I always say Spelman and Morehouse are like the HBCU Ivy League.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what they remind me of, like, this is just like high society.
School, yes. No partying. And I remember when I first got to Clark, that summer, we were having new student orientation or some sort, and they were allowing us to sit on the promenade, talk to our classmates and get acquainted. Spelman, no, they had a curfew. They had to be in by like 7 o'clock. The campus was already locked.
Yeah.
If you were not in your dorms by a certain amount of time, they would, try to give you a demerit. So it was really crazy. But I'm so grateful that I was able to experience that and being able to be around men and women, because to be around one gender all day, it probably would get tiring. It would.
Yeah, absolutely. I love my friends. I can't do girls all day. I'm a tomboy anyway, so I usually be around the boys anyway. Um, I don't think I could do it. But I mean, you do have Morehouse and Clark Atlanta's right there, so it's not like you're missing much of anything, because you can go to your sectors and go do what you
Yeah.
do. I think it's interesting how you got exposed to the different standards too when it comes to like the school settings. Because
Hmm.
you just mentioned how they had the merits and um, curfew and different things like that, but the freedom at Clark Atlanta, I feel like helps y'all grow your wings and really go out there and try different things too. So tell me
It
about that.
does.
Tell me about that.
It does. And what I was getting ready to say is that if you pay attention to the notable alumni, of course, Morehouse and Spelman does have notable alumni, but we have a lot of notable alumni that are game changers, though.
Absolutely.
People that are in charge of BET that actually work in these fields that are actually making changes and are really yeah, people that are really, really making changes in the lane and things that we really need, they all come from Clark. DJ Drama,
Hmm.
Jackie Reed. It's so many people that I can go on and on and on about. But like you said, due to the fact that we were able to expand our wings and experiment with certain things, I feel like that propelled our growth because we were not sheltered in. And one thing I
Hmm.
appreciate my professors for is the fact that they met me where I was, or they meet a lot of students where they are.
Hmm.
Of course, they embedded into our brains that we're there for education, but they also have real conversations with us. They tell it like it is when it comes to the real world. And then they also make sure that we feel like family. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, like my professor was telling me, it's not all about the grade. It's about what you take from my class and how you apply it to life. Because there's
absolutely.
plenty of people out here that have made summa cum laude, magna cum laude, straight A's, whatever, right? But there are people out here that maybe didn't even go to school, but it's all about what you take and how you apply it to life. And that's
Absolutely.
what and that's what I feel like was definitely one of my biggest takeaways. And them meeting me where I was. My professors didn't shame us for anything that we did. If you would come late, of course they would get on to you, but they would say, "Hey, I'm not going to kick you out of my class because I love you, and I want you to know that this isn't okay. And these are the things that we're going to do going forward to make sure that you're never late again." It's like they wanted the best for us, and that's
Yeah.
what I really appreciate. Because if you go to PWI sometimes, or schools that are not predominantly with a lot of Black people, they don't really treat you as if like you're a child, or you're you have like a mom and dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With being at an HBCU, they always, made sure that that I was doing the right thing.
Them aunties and uncles, they ain't just let you,
Yeah,
"Nah,
no,
baby, we here for you, but we gonna hold you accountable," and that's what we need, community.
we do. Community,
Yeah.
that's the key word right there.
We're missing that. There's a big gap in between generations because that community piece is missing, and
Yep.
that's why college is so important. I don't think that everyone should go to college, but I think that if you need and want to go to college, college is a great place for you to expand your wings like you did, and have that like incubator type of situation where you can really grow before the world sees you, like
Yes.
fully sees you, you know. So I'm glad you had some good nurturing leadership over there. Cause look, college can be wild. That can be a place. You have your
It
good time, but we
can.
gonna reel you back in, you know? We know, we was there before. So it's like, we want you to have a good time, but we want you to be about your business too, and I love that they, demanded that from you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me where your love for music started.
Wow. That's a great question. I would say it's always been a part of me. And I hope that doesn't sound cliche, but yes, it's always been a part of me because my mom grew up, well, she's already always has been a part of the church and stuff like that, and my dad has too. And my mom was always in the choir singing with different groups, organizations. Like, she's well known in Fort Worth for her singing.
Mhm.
And she brought me into that as a child. And the first solo that I can remember, and it's going to be so funny, the first solo I remember singing in church was Jesus Walks by Kanye West. And don't laugh, but I'm so
Can't help
serious.
it. Hey, that's all right. That's all right. Shoot.
Because I
Old Kanye.
remember, yeah, old Kanye. I remember being in church, and like I said, I had to be around like 4 because it was me and this other boy at the time. His name was RJ, and the minister of music, um, the minister of music was up playing, and we were getting ready to transition to the pastor getting ready to preach. And after we got done singing, the musicians like dum 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 ooh. And then he back for me. He did one of these numbers right here. He held the mic and he said, "Jesus what?" That was my.
He said, "You gonna sing this solo? I mean, this duet."
But he was young too, and you know how sometimes it is a young church musician. They always want to incorporate the worldly stuff into the gospel stuff to make it fun for the kids. But
Yeah.
that was my first ever solo I remember having. But to answer your question, yeah, music has always been a part of me because it has been fluid with my family. And that's one of the earliest moments I remember having. But yeah, it's always been a part and it's never left.
You know what I always say we already knew and know what we want to do as children. And the only thing that kind of like takes it away from you is when you get older and the world starts like loosening your grip. So honestly, we know, at the beginning, or you've been exposed to it early. You just haven't figured out that you want to take it serious yet.
Yes, I
Yeah.
definitely do agree. And then when I was a kid, um, I used to just hop on the piano a lot and try to play what I would hear. And
Hmm.
my mom was like, "Wait a minute, you're this young and you can do this? We got to go get you a piano teacher." And so, just like what you said, when you see kids start to exude certain behaviors, you got to kind of nurture those things. And that's what my parents did for me, because like I said, I was already in the church environment doing certain things, but when they started to see that talent, they're like, "No, we got to nurture that." So my parents put me in piano lessons at the age of 4. I was reading
Hmm.
classical music starting at that age. I did it all the way until I was like 13 or 14 when I got to tech. And I was like,
Wow.
I don't want to be playing uh Bach and Tchaikovsky and none of that. I want to play church music. So I stopped. So yeah, I stopped around my freshman year of high school playing classical music. And then my mom, when she discovered that I could sing, Joe Jackson, Maddie Moss Clark, that was definitely that lady. It was no playing. You get up there, you hold that mic. It's no nervousness. You don't hold your head down, and you don't give God no half praise.
Yeah,
Okay. And so that
right.
it was
Because that's a
stuff
part of
like
her
that. Just
legacy.
well, stuff like that
Right.
always just stuck with me. And yeah, and it's just always been a part.
Shout out to your parents though, because you don't know how many stories I hear about I knew my kid was gifted, but I didn't act on it. Shout out to your parents for like shelling out the money. And I mean, we got stuff to pay for, so I know. You know what I'm saying? Like I know they had stuff to pay for, but I love that they invested in you and they didn't look at it like I'm investing in you for a payoff. I'm investing in you because I see the gift. And that's top tier parenting right there for real. Like
I
I
agree.
appreciate them for that. So and I'm glad that they had you playing classical music because that is the most complicated pieces of
Is
music
it?
you would play. And so I'm sure that helps you now, later,
It
like
did.
now. But yeah, you playing some of the OGs for real, for real. I
It
got some of
did.
them
It
vinyls over here.
and it helped me when I got to college too, because a lot of my classes I was able to test out of, or my teachers would allow me just to do whatever because they knew I knew the material or I could pick it up really, really quickly because I already had that background when I came.
Yeah. Tell me what's the title for your actual major?
Yeah, so I majored in music with a concentration of commercial composition.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense then. I was like, wait, give me the rest of it had to be a little bit more. I knew it had to be more if you were testing out. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So yeah,
great.
that's what I went to school for. And fun fact, I was the only one to graduate my class in 2019. Everyone dropped out, um, transferred schools, or transferred to other majors because they thought it was too difficult. And so yes, if you look it up in public record. I'm the only one to graduate Clark Atlanta 2019 from the music department, the only one.
Insane.
Walk by myself.
Well, look at that. Another situation where you walk by yourself and have to stand on your own 2 feet.
Period. So like you said, it just goes back to the conversation. God was just only preparing me.
Yeah, the track record is real. I think that I think I was saying this to another student to a student the other day. Look, your track record and how God shows up is there. You just haven't slowed down long enough to acknowledge it or see it. The issue is the slowing down. Younger people don't slow down to reflect. And then
Don't.
when you stop to reflect, you get to see the track record and you see how far you've come and like all the things that you gained and how you used everything that you went through. So
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. You're the only one standing. That's crazy. We'll
The
talk about
only one.
that's very symbolic. That is crazy. I didn't even know that. That's wild. But I want to ask you when it comes to the music scene in Atlanta, like once you got there, what were some of your first steps? What were some of the things that you did to dive into the music scene in Atlanta?
Some of the things I would do, first things first, put myself out there. When I first got to Atlanta, I remember during the summer, um, I signed up for multiple talent shows and showcases they had at my school. And that right there showed, of course, the school my talent, and it attracted other people that were creatives as well to
Hmm.
me. And typically, with people having the same like mindset or whatever, with them, yeah, with them doing that, a lot of people were typically aspiring to do the same thing. So I would
Hmm.
network, do showcases, or just be in different environments. Like if some of my friends would go to the studio or whatever, I would go with them just to be in the facility. I mean, in that environment. I feel like that is so important. And
Yeah.
that's where a lot of opportunities would arise from just by being there. So yeah, just throwing myself out there and just being where I needed to be at most places, at most times.
Yeah. That's half the battle right there, being where you need to be just to get that exposure and everything like that. So, um, with you being in those different spaces and seeing those different things, what are some of the good things you pull from that and some of the things that you like, I know I'm not about that life. I'm not doing that. Like, how did it set your standard?
Yes, so it set it very early for me. I would say it showed me how I need to maneuver in this business by just being in said environments.
Mhm.
Because being in, certain studios or wherever affluence was taking place, I was able to see how certain businessmen were moving. I was able to see how certain artists were moving, the engineers, producers, and everything, and take a little bit of that and use it for me as far as for my artistry. But then it also showed me how to be a little bit
Mhm.
reserved, because when I started coming into these spaces and things of that sort, people were trying to use my ideas. They were trying to run off with certain things and not provide me credit. And then, um, shun me in the beginning, like as if my ideas were not good enough, but then you're trying to take credit for it. So it was teaching me so many things, how to apply more pressure than I was even applying. I'm like, okay, well, if these guys are doing this and they think that's good, like you could come harder than that. So it was just showing me so many things: how to be humble, how to be a people person, how to turn up my discernment, because I feel like that is definitely key in this industry. You
For
have to,
sure.
just because everyone's smiling, shaking your hand, does not mean they have your best interest, does not mean they like you, and does not mean that they want the best for you. But
Mm-mm.
again, being around all of these type of spirits and different people and stuff, it definitely turned up my discernment, and it definitely allowed me to get closer to God too, for some weird reason. It did.
Yeah, as it should, because it's different when you're a kid and you're learning the God that your parents have presented to you. But when you go through things and you experience that real shystiness in the world, when you see how dark
Yep.
the world can be, you kinda you go back to what you were taught, but you get to learn God in a different way because he brings you through and you know it's him, you know?
Yep.
That's the difference, and I'm glad. I hate that you had to experience some of those things, but at the same time, I'm glad because now you know, and you have no
Yep.
excuse now. I know now, so I gotta operate a different way, or I can operate the same way and get the same result, you know?
That too.
Choose to rise to the occasion or stay where you at.
Yep. I definitely
Uh,
do agree.
yeah. How has you following Jesus Christ impacted your connections and impacted how you move in general?
Hmm. I would say it definitely dictates everything that I do. And just to piggyback off of what you said before, the Jesus Christ that I knew as a child, even though he's always been the same, let's put that there.
Yeah, he's the same.
Right. But the Jesus Christ that I knew as a child versus me as an adult is two different things. I think I look at Jesus Christ now, to me, this is my opinion, as one of the best teachers that ever walked this earth.
Absolutely.
Um, I know we pray to him for miracles and all these other things, but Jesus Christ was the best teacher.
Mhm.
I look at his life examples, I look at the things that he's done, and looking into his lifestyle and everything made me more confident. Because Jesus was definitely confident in everything that he did. He didn't care.
At
You
all.
know,
That
once
dude.
he, yeah, once he left his family, and he started being about his father's business, he started standing on everything by himself. And then eventually his tribe finally came to back him. But no, Jesus Christ is very confident. And like I said, I consider him in everything that I do. It has allowed me to grow, of course, become a better person. A lot of things that what the old people used to say, used to do, I don't do anymore. People who I used to talk to, I don't talk anymore. Places I used to go, I don't do it anymore, because I realized the task at hand. And in order to get something that you never had, you have to do things that you never done. And so with Jesus Christ in my life, like I said, I depend on him. I talk to him a lot. Like people are like, are you talking to yourself? Hey, don't worry about it. But but I talk to God. I talk to God. I talk to Jesus Christ all the time. I seek help. Um, and he just overall changed my mindset of how I think about things and how I go about things. Um, and that's what I would say.
Yeah. I think that that's great to hear because that's growth in general. And once you've been exposed and you've had a true encounter with Jesus Christ, if it doesn't change the way you move and the way you think, which is Bible, um, it didn't work. You need a few more experiences to get you to understand who Jesus is. And like he was the realest in it and still is, and did not really play about his father's business.
Didn't
So,
play.
we can learn so much about how to move just by reading the word, and I always say that getting to know him is an act of self-discovery in general, because 'cause we're made in
And
his image, like, made in God's image. So, when you get to learn the principles, it's almost like, "Okay, this is who you say I am. I gotta start acting this way." And it
it
changes
does,
everything for you.
it does, and it also changes the way you think, because what does the Bible literally tell us? To what? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and
Of
that's
your
all Jesus
mind.
was trying to tell us.
Yeah, that's it.
Believe in yourself. Do what you need to do. But most importantly, don't be conformed to the world, because it's easy to do that. And that's why I take so much, and like you said, and looking at his lifestyle and really studying him, because it's like, man, you came to the world and you did all that in that little time.
Man,
Amazing.
literally
It's
amazing.
amazing.
It
And I don't think
with
anybody has
every
modeled after
opposition.
that, since then.
They never will because it's we're human, right? So there's a lot of other things that are that's in here that really impacts the way that we operate too. But the standard has to be the standard. We may not be able to be exactly what and who he is, but we can model ourselves after him
Right.
and and do our best daily. Grace renews daily for a reason because we need it. But I think that it's important for us to look at Christ's life and like really try to model our lives after it because that's what he came down here for.
Exactly.
So he definitely laid the path for us. We just gotta follow. So yeah. Tell me about your decision to take the hiatus because if everything is moving and enrolling and you're learning, your discernment is growing, I'm sure that there was some moments where you had to pause and be like, wait a minute, So tell me about the hiatus you decided to take.
Yes. Took a hiatus in 2020. The I would say at the beginning of 2020. It was
So right after you
honestly,
graduated.
yeah. So yeah, I graduated in 19, and then yeah, at the beginning of the year, I probably stopped around the pandemic. Um, Probably like around June or July during the summer. But either way that it goes, yes, I did stop for multiple reasons of just graduating, getting acclimated
Mhm.
to life, trying to figure it out, trying to become stable. Um, Trying to figure out where I was gonna lay my head, where my next meal was
Yeah.
gonna come from. I'm in a major city, and the
Life.
only person I was having to depend on was myself. And then at the time, of course, we were in a global pandemic. We were not able to go anywhere, be amongst people. So it was like it made me learn how to do everything myself, because I couldn't even go around people to engineer or mix my songs or do anything, because of the pandemic. And then also during the time my uncle passed away, and he was very near and dear to my heart, as a child. And he was, of course, unalive due to COVID-19. So all of that, um, it was definitely a lot going on, and it just made me want to step back, because I felt like I wasn't giving it 110%. And one thing I don't do is do anything halfway. I don't.
Yeah.
If I can't give
Yeah.
it 110%, I'm not gonna attach my name to it, and I'm not gonna do it at all. And during that time, of course, becoming more stable was my priority, of course, but I also wanted to make sure that I was growing, of course, as an artist, sharpening my pen, doing all those things. But I wanted to make sure when I came back this time, there wasn't any loose ends. So consistency definitely was on the table and across my mind. And then
Yeah.
secondly, I wanted to make sure that that everything that you all saw visually was aesthetically pleasing. And I'm like, how am I gonna be in the same running as my comrades and I'm not even up to par with what they're doing? So it was just a lot of things I wanted to go back and revisit and just make sure, hey, if you're gonna do this thing, do it right and give it all you got and go out swinging, and it's gonna work. And if it doesn't work, which I know it will, the only thing that I could say is, hey, at least I know I tried. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to take that time away just to make sure, okay, um, to to make sure when I come back the next time that everything was gonna be right, and just to make sure I was well mentally and everything. Because like I said, I don't do anything halfway. So
You
yeah.
shouldn't, and you shouldn't. I'm glad that you took that time because I think that a lot of artists don't understand the responsibility that y'all have. You have someone's ear, and I don't think people understand the importance of that. Like, there is a responsibility, a heavy one that comes with that because what you say and what you produce can be the difference between someone else's decisions. Not to say that it's your
Yes.
that's really they're gonna ultimately make the choice, but what I'm saying is you have an opportunity for impact beyond what you could ever imagine. So being clear on what the message is that you wanna deliver and how you wanna deliver it is important so that at least you can rest easy knowing I did what I felt was right. So, I'm glad you took that time to really, like, sharpen your tools, get back to the basics, and make sure that you had the people in place that can really help you execute your plan.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I encourage everyone to do the same, if there are times where you feel like you're crashing and burning or you don't have it figured out, it's okay, to sometimes to step back and to reevaluate. Now
Mhm.
sometimes for certain people it might take a week, sometimes it might take a couple days or years. For me it took years because I knew the task at hand and what I'm trying to do. So it,
Yeah.
it took a little bit more time to map out everything and to get it in motion. And it's harder too to do everything when you're doing it by yourself,
Yeah.
because people don't realize that when you're signed to labels, that's a machine behind you. So it's easier for artists to pop off or to see them visibly because they have that machine. But when you don't and you're funding everything and trying to do stuff, it can take a lot longer. And it might seem as if you're really not making any impact, but that's because again, you don't have that machine behind you like other artists do. And sometimes that can be a little discouraging too. But I'm like, at the end of the day, the only difference between them and me, the money.
Yeah. And you get to choose and you get creative control. The difference
That too.
between, like, you having the opportunity to have a machine behind you, it's a lot better when you have a machine behind you after you've already got the thing in motion because
That part.
you have leverage. Trying to get in there and use the machine and then you just a new, fresh what do they call it? Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed artist.
Yeah.
That's how you get got. So, it's like,
Facts.
there you can have the gift and be amazing, but people, regardless of the music industry or any other industry, there are people who are vultures, okay? And they will take. You a giver, they're gonna take. And it's gonna
Yep.
be nothing to them. That's just gonna be another notch on the belt for them. They don't care. So you do
Yep.
have to be clear on what your standards are, what your mission is, and how you wanna execute it so that you can fight for yourself.
Yeah. And that is definitely true. Just to piggyback off of what you said. And that was a part of my hiatus. I said, you know what? This time when I come back around, I'm not gonna look for I'm not gonna look for help because I don't want to be owned by anyone. That's my main goal.
No.
I don't care how long it takes. And I really hate, that Dame and Jade fell out. But to
Yeah.
me, that's my model.
Yeah.
I'm going the independent route, how they built their infrastructure and did things on their own. That's the way that I'm going. Because I
Yeah.
feel like it's a crying shame for God to give you these visions and everything, and people take credit or they get the monetary gain off of your hard work and off of your back. That's
Absolutely.
not right. And it has been going on for years within the music industry, all types of industries, period.
Mhm.
But I made it up in my mind, I don't want to be another victim to that
Yeah.
system.
And
Because
it's
we
not
see in real time what's happening
yeah,
to
and you
all of
have the
our
tools,
greats.
but you have the tools too. Like, the difference is that I would say a lot of our greats they didn't have the internet. They didn't have
They
these
didn't.
options. Y'all have ways of doing it. And I love that you're taking the path of making sure that relationships and cultivating your audience is I'm glad you're doing it that way because that's what's important. Making them understand who you are and feel you is the best way to go about it. Because once you get the great audience, it doesn't have to be a zillion people. If you have a true audience, you good. Look at Chance the Rapper. Look
And
at
this
people like No Name,
and LaRussell,
the Russell.
I look up to him a lot,
Yeah,
because he's another individual that inspires me greatly because
he's dope.
yeah, he was this individual, working a regular job, and
Yep.
he built his own infrastructure. And he says the same thing you say, Miss Trina. It doesn't matter if you have 10 people, 50 people, as long as they're your core audience and they're diehard fans, it doesn't matter. That will take you a long way.
They will go get the fans for you. They gonna put somebody on you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's what happens. It's like and making sure that your product is pure. Like,
Right.
because at the end of the day, it has to be good. Because if it's not good, they'll be like, "Man, just try it," you know? But I mean, it's up to that person, but what I'm saying is if you create something and you feel good with it, it's already a success because you
Right.
accomplished the goal and you released it to the world, so it's completed. What they do
Right.
with it is they business. Like, it really is. It is. Of course, you want it to go, but I'm saying, like, as far as, like, your sanity and being in a space where you create a creative's mind, we have to get to the point where it's like, God called me to do this thing. I created it, I released it.
Period.
The rest
Because
of
if
it is
you
gonna happen.
don't, it will eat you up. And I've
Quick.
and I've experienced that too. Again, since we're talking about the hiatus, creating a lot of things and just holding on to it, like, no, let it go, because time moves on and you'll look back and be regretful of things that you did not release because you were scared, worried about the naysayers and things of that sort. Now, for me, I ultimately create timeless music. I don't worry about it, but my biggest thing that I struggle with is just getting it all out. Just getting it all out.
Yeah. How do you wanna do it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Packaging
because
it.
it's like I need the people to hear it, and God, and my thing is, when God gives you a vision, I feel like it is your duty to release that thing into the universe, because if you don't, he will give that idea to the next person.
And you're gonna
And
be
so
mad.
period. And I say that all the time. I don't ever want to be in a position where God keeps skipping over me because I'm not ready,
Yeah. Yeah.
or I don't want to do what he has called me to do.
Yeah.
God, you can trust me. Come on.
And that's
Keep
the
giving me
key
the
right there.
ideas.
That's the key right there though, BJ. That's the part. People think that things have to be so polished and done, and really the audience a lot of times don't even wanna see that. But
Yep.
people think it has to be so pristine and nice, but sometimes you have to release it because there's a time and a season for it. And when you do that, it makes it a lot easier for people to consume it, and that just snowballs for you. But if you're
Yeah.
afraid to let it go, like you ain't gonna get no more ideas. Trust when God is able to trust you with what He told you to do, the ideas are endless. I got notebooks full of ideas, and if you needed it that bad, look, God gonna give me some more. But I mean, that's not to say don't protect yourself. Now, I'm not saying that, people. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is we were created by the Creator, so we were born to create. He's gonna give you more, but you gotta be in alignment with Him and trust Him and be a vessel, an actual vessel, so that you
Yes.
can. It can get through you. If He know it can get through you, He'll use you.
And hear from them too,
Yeah.
because in order to produce the ideas, you have to be in a place where you're able to hear from God to get these great ideas. And
Hmm.
for me, I feel like the best time where I hear from God is when I'm in solitude. Sometimes I'm on the toilet.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in the shower. Sometimes I'm just taking a walk on my balcony. I mean, it doesn't matter. But when I get away from people and really start to um, be silent and just let it flow, that's when they come. That's when it comes.
Yep. And that's Bible too. Like, it's all written in there. Everything is in there. Jesus retreated, y'all. He went across he went on the other side of the water, so I gotta get away from y'all for a minute. Let me go pray.
He did. He
You know what I'm
did.
saying? So that's why your routine, your process, how you move, and what's important to you, your priorities are important. And you have to solidify that even if you're a music artist or a board member, that your routine has to be set for you to be the best version of yourself. So whatever that looks like for you is what it looks like for you. So with that being said, let me ask you, what's your like daily routine? What are your some of your key pillars or things that you do daily to make sure that you're staying in, the flow of things?
I would say praying. I pray constantly, like, yeah, they how many times do Muslims pray? About 3 times a day? I
More or
don't know,
more?
but I pray more than that. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm always talking to God all the time because I want his protection, of course, but I wanna be so close to where I can't miss him.
exactly.
That's where I wanna be. I wanna be in the will of God. I don't never wanna be outside of it because that's a dangerous place.
Yeah, it is.
But for me, yeah, praying constantly. Um, I would say what else? Exercise and trying to get some type of physical activity in there because that definitely clears my mind too.
Mhm.
Uh, Staying creative. And sometimes it doesn't always involve me writing or recording, but doing something creative because when you're in the creative flow, it propels more ideas if you're doing something that's creative.
Yeah,
Um, and like I said, it doesn't always deal with maybe music or whatever, but doing something creative, it gets the brain flowing. And then sleeping as much as I can.
yeah,
And and that's really it. And just taking time for myself. That's very important because for me, I can get easily boggled down by people because they're always calling my phone. You know what I mean? With what they're going through and with their ideas. But it's very important that you put yourself first too.
yeah, for sure.
So that you don't burn yourself out or become evil, you know what I mean, due to your environment or things that are going on around you. So yeah, that's what I would
Absolutely.
say my day to day or my daily routine looks like as at this moment. But I know as the years come, it's going to get very very busy. But yeah, those are definitely the basics. That's for right now.
It's gonna get busy, but you still have to make your routine your routine. And that doesn't mean that don't be restricted or constricted by time. It's not about time, it's about standards. They can't shift. Though a standard is the standard regardless.
Right.
So, however you fit it in is how you fit it in based on your season, but the standard is the standard and it can't shift. Because the point of you going through the valley is so you can discover what you need to be able to sustain.
Right.
So you gotta keep it the standard. And you know what it is, so that's good that you already know the key things you gotta have in there. Stay normal for you. We gotta have balance and keeping making sure you taking care of yourself for sure. I love that you said that because that's the thing most creators are like, I'll sleep when I die. That's not okay. Like, come on, bro. We need you sharp. What are you talking about?
No, seriously, and I
We need you
feel like
sharp.
and like you said, because of that, it opens up new avenues for different things because you're not taking care of yourself. Most
Mhm.
people resort to drugs or whatever their addictions are because
Yeah.
you're neglecting yourself.
Exactly, and you just wanna feel something, and
Yeah.
that's bad, that's not good, you can't be searching for something to fill a void. He already there, you just talk to him, and he'll feel it. So, yeah. Now, I do wanna ask you about your collaborations because I think that it's so amazing in the music industry. This is the one thing I really love about music. It's like, when you get in a room full of musicians or artists, how collaborative and easy it is for y'all to just like, do, 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 do. It's like Bluetooth. Do, do, do. Everybody on the same page type of thing sometimes. But tell me about some of your collaborations and like what you loved about them and what's difficult when it comes to collaborating.
I To be honest, I like collaborating with other creative individuals.
Mhm.
Um I it's one thing to it's one thing to collaborate with people that are just doing a job, but with people that don't mind exploring or pushing the creative boundaries and
Mhm.
stuff like that. I love working with those type of people. But to answer your question, my favorite of everyone of the producers that you've named, I would say Tasha Couture was my favorite as of now. And because
Mhm.
she was so sweet, she let me do my thing. And actually, we linked up. I think I hit her in the DMs or something like that. And she was
Mhm.
like, yeah, come to Tree Sound Studios. And I don't even think Tree Sound is still around in Atlanta, but that's a very famous studio. No, I'm sorry. We didn't go to Tree Sound. We went to Doppler. Doppler.
Okay.
If you know anything about Doppler, that's a very, very famous um, recording studio in Atlanta. But yeah, I hit her in the DMs and she's like, okay, cool. Come through. Came through. And at the time, she was in the room recording 2 songs. One was by, I can't think of his name right now, but it's two artists in Atlanta that are pretty popping right now. But she was recording them, and she was like, "Hey, if you want to, you can go in the other room, get the idea started, and I'll join you in a minute." And so that's what I did. Went in another room, started cooking up. She joined me, and we just started, making the beat or whatever. And then after we got done, she was like, "Hey, you know anything about vocal producing? Make sure to get in here and sing these songs right." And at the time, I think I was like, I was probably about 20 years old. I was like, I don't know nothing about any of this stuff they're talking about, but fake it till you make it. So, so
Exposure.
exactly. So I left the production room. I went back in the main A room with the 2 rappers at the time. Like I said, I can't remember their names, but went back in the room and I sat next to the engineer and I was making them do it over, do this part. You know what I mean? Just being an overseer of the project. So, like you said, being in the environment, it just cultivates relationships, builds confidence, and it also exposes you to certain things. Because I was in the same environment as her, now I know what to look for when it comes to vocal producing. Things I do want, things I don't want, things I want things to sound like. I think
Mhm.
all of that is important. And then with Young Land, it was the same thing. Me, I'm always gonna take the risk and hit somebody in the DM. Either gonna say
Yeah,
yes or no. So
exactly.
the same way with him, I hit him in the DM. We linked up. We made a couple records. Yeah, and that was that. But yeah, it's all about taking chances and just being prepared for the moment too. Though
Yeah.
that definitely helps a lot.
Yeah, having the audacity as well. The audacity to hit somebody in their DMs and not feel like, "Imma look crazy." You're gonna look crazy if you don't try, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you never know what a person will say. And my motto that I abide by is never be scared to ask or to do,
Yeah.
because the worst thing that a person can tell you is no. And who cares about a no?
Yeah,
And
you already got
and
the no.
period. And when you get the no, I'm even grateful for the no, because now I'm off that. I'm already on to the next.
Yeah.
Like it just propels you into you reaching your destination or getting to the goal faster by hearing the no. So it's like hearing a no is nothing. Be scared for what?
It's not it's actually a really good thing because it's an opportunity for you to, like you just said, to get better, and, like, even if they say no, you can also ask them why and get that information so that you can do something about it. So I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly. The no's is fine with me because at the end of the day, I already said yes, so we're gonna get a yes somewhere. We're gonna get a yes somewhere. Shoot. But
Yep. And
yeah.
then I was gonna also add, I know we keep talking about it, but yeah, being in an environment is so important. I'll never forget this. And like I said, Miss Trina, I go to so many studios and charge it to my head and not my heart. I can't remember all of them that I go to.
That's
But
all
I'll never
right.
forget this one night. I went with a friend of mine to Young Thug studio.
Mhm.
And she was like, all right, when you go in here, and she was like, bro, just be low key, because they be tripping about random people being in their spaces. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. I'm gonna act like a fly on the wall. Went in there. Everybody, is all fangirling about Young Thug or whatever. And he's just, chilling. And we all go in a room, and it's this producer. His name is Chase the Money. And I'm just sitting on the couch on my phone, and they're playing a record, and Thug's in there doing his take or whatever. And like I said, I wasn't even talking to nobody. I'm down on my phone. He's like, hey, who you came with? And I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
nobody. And he's like, do you want a job? And
I
I'm looking
do.
like, for me, he was like, yes, you. He was like, I know the owner of this studio. He was like, I'll take you up there right now to go meet him.
Wow.
And Chase the Money, a producer, took me to the owner in the very front. Yep. And I started interning at Young Thug Studio. Just like that, just by being there. I didn't know these people.
But see, this is the thing. The audacity to just show up. Just show up.
Yep.
And, like, a lot of times God be like, "I really wanna give it to them, but they just don't want it." When you start acting like you
Um,
want it, you get things do kinda shift, or at least if you're not in a space where you can do it fully, at least absorbing the information, being in a space where you can see and it be exposed can lead to that, and whenever it's for you, God makes a pathway.
exactly.
Not gonna be easy, but he does create a pathway, and then you gotta sharpen those tools.
I agree to that.
That's crazy. I love that though. That makes me happy. People be out here moving on. True. Tell me about your ability to write, your songwriting, your storytelling, because I feel like that is one of the that is a gift that if you have it, it can go across so many different industries. Literally. If you're a storyteller, you can do what you need to do in any
Exactly.
industry. So tell me about your love for that and where it started and everything too.
My love for writing, oddly enough, again, I feel like I've been doing it as a kid, but it was always for play.
Mhm.
So when I was a kid, I was always that one where I would call people on the phone, want to do three ways and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
most kids they get on the phone, they want to maybe talk or gossip or maybe do prank calls.
Mhm.
No, I was always getting on the phones with my friends. Hey, let's make up a rap.
That's crazy.
I always did that, or I would be writing the rap and I'd be like, say this rap. I would always do that to my friends in elementary. And I remember when my sister got married, I wrote a song for her when I was in elementary about her getting married. But like I said, that stuff I never took serious. It was just like for play and it just intrigued me. But when I got older in college, I think that's when I took it serious. Um, I would say like 2017, 2018, it was a friend of mine, he was serious about music as well. And he would always call me down to his dorm room to give his expertise when it came to his music or whatever. And I'm like, bro, I'm writing you whole songs back to back, like less than an hour. And they're going up. Like, I got to stop this. I got to stop. I got to do it for myself. And
Mhm.
that's when that was the pivotal point in my life where I was like, hey, I can't just keep giving out my ideas to people. Like, whatever God gives to you, bro, you already got the talent. Do it. You know what I mean? And just make it work. And so to answer your question, I would say during college was what the most pivotal time. And that's what really made me get serious about it and really kind of lock in. But it's
Yeah.
always been a part. But yeah, it just was brought out during that time.
Yeah, that pen will do things for you that singing will never do.
For sure. For sure.
And it's great to have multiple gifts, multiple understand all of your gifts, but understanding what you got, that Swiss Army knife is real. So, especially in your industry. So, I'm so grateful that you picked up that pen and you also realized like, oh, it's something to this because it's working for someone else and you were up being of service at that moment. So, I think that's interesting too because that's Bible as well. And the more that you continue to do different things, you're like, I could do this for myself too. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
awesome. Man, tell me a little bit about your new vision though. Like how I love the visuals. I love the new song. Tell me everything about like how you came up with your concept for your new vision for yourself.
Um, it came from life.
Mm,
I would say that's what I try to be as transparent and as authentic as possible. Even though we don't really favor him at this moment, one of my favorite songwriters is R. Kelly. And he's always said to, before you do anything else, write about life. That's the
mhm.
easiest place to write from.
Yeah,
And that's what I do. It's the easiest place. Even if I'm making up stories or whatever, you never know because writing, period, transcribing or any of that is a form of manifestation.
yeah,
So it's like talk about your life where you are or talk about the places you want to be or the things you want, all of that. So that's where I drive, of course, inspiration. That's where I try to write from. As far as for the vision, that is my vision, to be open, to be a people person. I want to connect, I want to bring feeling, i want um I want the same impact that Michael had. People don't understand how powerful that is. And he
man.
had it, of course, of with him being an entertainer, but the music alone did it. It
Yeah.
did it. We
Yeah.
didn't realize what he was talking about, you know, in We Are the World or They Don't Care About Us. We were in Thriller and Billie Jean. We were just dancing. But
Man,
if you go back and really internalize the music and listen and read, you'll be like, wait, Michael was out here telling us stuff
that's happening right now.
right now.
Right now. Michael was and still is impactful. Like, you can hear the first
Exactly.
couple of you can hear the track come on and it's over.
Exactly.
Like,
And that's what music is supposed to be. To me, and I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but for me, I want my music to feel like worship.
yeah.
Okay? When you go to church, even before the pastor gets up to talk, a preacher, whatever he does, what takes you to the place of reverence? What takes you to the place of being in communion with God? The music.
Mhm.
If the praise leader don't get up there and do their job and do what they supposed to do, the whole vibe is off.
Yeah.
It's off.
Yeah.
And I found myself multiple times, even before the pastor gets up to preach. I already find myself in the presence of God, and I love that feeling. And
Yeah.
I want to bring that feeling to the entire world, even if people never touch a church. I
Yeah.
want people to feel like they know God through me. That's what
And
I want.
they will because you are allowing yourself to be a vessel. And when now that you have that understanding and you have that drive for that specific, you're being intentional. It's a lot different from knowing that you have a gift and out here running and doing it, right? It's a lot different when you're intentional versus running. Now you're
Right.
moving, you're flowing, your vocabulary already changed. You're not chasing anything. It's a flow.
Exactly.
So I think that that right there, the mind shift is what's necessary to be able to bet on yourself like that because we already know what you're doing is difficult just in essence. So without the right mindset, child, it's just an uphill battle with 10,000 pounds on you. Like it's, you know, so you have the right perspective and you understand what you're going after. And I think that God is going to honor that because you're trying to bring honor to Him. You're bringing glory to Him ultimately through your gift, the gift that He
I
gave you.
received that.
The gift that He gave you, that's what we're here to do. We all have the same actual purpose, if I'm being honest with you, BJ. What you just
Right.
said is all of our purpose. You may not know it yet, but that's your purpose. How you do it, the vehicle you use is the gift that He gave you.
I
And we
like
all
that.
do it in different sectors. So I'm glad that you discovered yours and that's only one of them. You got multiple pieces like 1A, 1B, 1C because you got other gifts, but music is definitely one that I really believe that you're gonna take it and do what you need to do with it. And there are gonna be a lot of people who come after you that's gonna be like singing Jesus Walks, singing doing your songs just like you did Jesus Walks. So
It's so funny because I've never shared that with anybody.
Life coach with the right approach, yeah. She gon' put some Jesus on it. It's that level 27. Hey, don't stress, be blessed. 3 things to digest. Stay focused, trust God, and respect the process.